Today I'm going to salvage these rocker shafts. You can see the pitting on the shaft itself where the bearings were riding and the needle started digging in. Now how I'm going to go about salvaging these is all of the wear happens on one side. So if I rotate it top to bottom, all the wear surface is good here, where that's where all the pressure is from the spring, and the push rod when it rides on the cam is all pushing in that direction. But we need this counter bore for our polylock on the opposite side. So if I machine the opposite side to take the polylock, I can just flip it over 180, and now we don't have to worry about this pitting at all on the shaft because it will be on the section of the bearing that doesn't get loaded. Now to kick things off, I had to switch over to the 4-jaw chuck. That is so that we can hold it by the sides and by the ends so that we're holding it properly. I made this little bit of a, I don't know if you want to call it a setup tool or whatever, just so that I can put it into the rocker shaft like this, and then I've got a flat surface that I can then set a parallel in here and insert it so that it sits flat. Now that it's sitting flat in there, I know that everything is, our hole is square and not twisted one way or the other. We need to indicate to make sure that our part is actually properly centered. Now I can rotate the part and see how close it is. Now I already did one of these, so that's actually really good. Should also make sure that we actually have tension on here, which we don't, so that's probably not really good. Alright. There, that's more what I expected to see. So right there we're, about 10. On to the other side we got like 12, 13 thou of run out. So now we can dial that out with our 4-jaw chuck. Check it one side and the other side. That seems to be the farthest off. That's going to be the wrong direction. Tighten it up. Now we've got a thou and a half run out at the most. That's actually pretty good for this. I mean, plenty good. So we can move this back. I want to give it a little tap with a hammer just to make sure that we're down tight against that parallel so that it is square. We'll come back in and check it again. And it did move slightly, so we'll tighten that up again. There, we're back to about a thou and a half. Now I need to make sure I pull this parallel out so that we don't have that come flying out at us at any point in time. Yeah, that shows you just how tight it is actually in there. So it means we can know that our hole is nice and square. Yeah, there we go. Now I want to rough down the material. This whole part here in the center is proud of the bearing surface, so we can rough that off in a straight line to start. I can see by the color of the chips that this is hardened, but not so much that it can't be cut. I want to stop it and make sure I'm not going to hit that bearing surface, because that would be a premature end to our day. There, we're good. I'm going to swap tools, and it took this other generic, cheap lathe tool that's customizable. They're pretty much everybody's got some of them if you got a lathe kind of a thing. I had to do a lot of clearancing to it, and because we're working with such a small hole, there you can see I clearanced quite a bit of material. I even had to get up into the actual carbide a little bit to make sure that we can cut that small of a diameter. And I'm just using this straight in like a boring bar. There we are. Gotta cut an old side smooth, pits fresh cut. So basically we're flipping it over and we'll ignore the damaged area. But yeah, not too bad. The only reason I'm going through all this effort is I couldn't find anybody that could tell me what rocker arms to buy to get these replacement shafts. And of course, the company that made them doesn't want to sell individual parts. So I got basically told to pound rocks there. So rather than scrapping a whole set of rocker arms, I'm going to fix them. And the good news is I only got to do this to 4 out of the 16. Honestly, in 2 of those, probably more than good enough to keep running. These 2 that you're just looking at are by far the worst ones. One is a lot worse than the other, but there's still enough where I don't want to just put them back in the engine, even though the engine was running perfectly fine. So this is more of a preventative maintenance thing, because obviously it was a problem that was going to eventually be a big problem once the needles locked up and stopped turning altogether, and then we're just grinding up metal parts into the engine. But by flipping them over, there's no load on the top side. So we're going to have fresh bearing surface because the spring's pushing up, the push rod's pushing up, and the rocker is held upwards, so there's absolutely no load on the top side, and that's where we're going to put that worn area and get a lot more life out of these. What did you think of that camera angle above the lathe? Literally just a piece of angle iron with a stud to hold the camera and kind of twisted to get the aim right. I'm not going to leave this here because that's about the first thing I'm going to clock my forehead open on. So I'm going to take it back off for now, but it'll be something that I have for use in the future. But I don't know, it was just, I threw it together in like 5 minutes, just, I mean, drilling a couple of holes and stuff, and seemed to work. I'm sure there's a better solution for this. You know, especially if I found something that worked off my magnetic base, then I could just kind of put it wherever, except I'm not sure how much I trust this for how heavy that camera actually is. So, I don't know. We'll see about stuff in the future as far as that, but yeah, I just wanted to try something different because it seems like every time I try to film something on the lathe, there's just stuff or myself in the way trying to do the work.